Hello, everyone. It's Michelle with Twin Flame Warriors. Welcome to the second installment in our podcast bonus series, Portrait of a Twin Flame, featuring intimate interviews with twin flames from all walks of life and varied waypoints on their twin flame journey. Our guest today is Ronelle. Ronelle is a Reiki master healer who runs her own business in the construction trades. Her superpower is her gentleness. Ronelle has great patience with those just starting out on their spiritual journeys. She gained much wisdom over a lifetime spent in a Christian evangelical church, married to a soulmate she loved and who loved her in turn. It wasn't until after her soulmate husband's death that she became aware of an undeniable connection with the man who catalyzed her spiritual awakening. Ronelle currently lives in separation from her twin flame in a third-party situation. She is fast-growing in her healing powers and is finding the best ways to reside in peaceful acceptance of where her twin flame journey is at. Before we get started with our guest, thank you for listening. If you enjoyed the podcast, please consider sending us a donation in exchange we receive via PayPal if you send to michelle@twinflamewarriors.com. Thanks, and please enjoy the podcast. Ronelle, why don't you take a few minutes and tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey, where you're at?
Thank you. I'm very excited about meeting Michelle, and it's quite amazing that we can meet people all over the world on our spiritual journey. Telling you about myself, I like to think that I've always been different. I never realized why I was different. My husband passed away 3 years ago, and even though I was cut up at the time and it was a shock, I realize now that I didn't go through a mourning as such, because I subconsciously realized that even though he had left me in the 3D world, that he was still with me in the fifth dimension. Am I correct, Michelle?
Oh, yes, definitely. Everybody is with us at all times, as you and I have learned. You know, there is no separation. All the separation of this 3D earth is illusion. We are all joined
as one. That's why I see death in a different light. I see it differently. But thinking back, even as a child or as a young adult, when my parents passed away, it was never a big deal for me. I didn't find it strange at the time, but it was just like I got over it quickly. I realized now that it was because I've always realized the oneness. We are one. I understand it now. Subconsciously, I knew it, but I understand it now. That we're not separated only through our mindsets and how we think. So getting back to myself, and I think many of us on the journey, we don't realize or understand why we are different. But it is because all along we've known the truth. It's amazing to be on this journey now, discovering more and more of the truth, not someone else's truth, but my truth. Learning from what is within me, allowing it to come out and be my truth.
How do you feel that Ronelle, your religious background, because you do have a Christian religious background, how do you feel like that plays into your current understanding of your spiritual journey? How did it help or hinder you?
Going back to my husband's death again, and this is quite exciting. We had a business for 20 years doing aluminium, windows and doors, and it was my baby. It was my passion, because I always thought of myself as an entrepreneur. So having this chance of stepping into business was a dream come true for me. So in the 20 years that we did business together, it was truly my baby. I ate, slept, thought, spoke only El Shaddai Aluminium, which was the business name, which is a Christian name, which means Almighty, All-Sufficient God. And through all the ups and downs, I always held on to the name from our Christian background, because I was extremely Christian for 25 years. I used to often tell people that I was radically saved, because the day I did give my life to Jesus, it was like a turnaround in my life. I was all messed up and I just had hope. How my spiritual journey was affected by my Christian background. Getting back to the business. When my husband passed away, everybody said to me, close the business. And I would reply, no, I will continue because it is my passion. It is what I live for. It's what I've done for 20 years. And this is what I will continue doing. And it gave me hope. Now I understand the principle of letting go. 3 years ago, before my husband passed away, somebody said to me, the whole dynamic of the business is going to change. The whole dynamic of your life is going to change. The business was my passion. When I stepped into my purpose, my true purpose, because as a Christian, I preached and I prayed for people, and I thought that was what I lived for, is to help people. But when I stepped into my true purpose, which was healing people without all the religion and the do's and the don'ts attached to it, it became a challenge because I was told that I would lose my ministry and I would lose my Christian friends if I became a Reiki practitioner. I had to once again make a decision. Am I going to follow my heart, or am I going to listen to the truth of others? And I chose to follow my heart. I've realized that I might have lost Christian friends, but I've gained many other like-minded friends all over the world. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. We're building a net of light around this world, and religion has its place. Religion provides a pathway for everybody to find that truth inside themselves. Maybe it teaches them the ways to think about spirituality and life and death. And then I think it's really imperative to make that leap to this journey that we're on to help others heal. Religion gets bogged down when people see that they can use it to gain control and power over others. I've always believed that. There's this mindset shift that seems to happen when we find this journey and make a choice to choose our heart, as you said.
Well, that's exactly so, Michelle. When you are following a religion, you're placed in a box and you have to think a certain way. You have to do things a certain way. You have to perform to be accepted. If you don't do things the way it should be done according to religion, then you don't fit into the clique. I don't know if this is the right thing to share now, but for a year, I went a bit wayward and I spent a lot of time in bars. I was told by my Christian friends that they were shocked that I'd gone from hero to basically zero, and that I was hanging out in bars. I was a bit upset about it, and I thought about it, and I didn't feel any guilt at the time because I thought, I'm an adult and I can live my life. I don't have to answer to anybody. And I didn't feel judged by God. And after a year, I sat in a bar and a guy sat next to me, and he said to me the one night, you need to let go of your husband. And I said, what do you mean I need to let go of my husband?
Was this out of the blue, a stranger?
Yes.
Wow.
And I started chatting to him, and I said to him, but I've let go of my husband. He said, I went back home and I thought about it, and I realized I had a aha moment, and I realized that I was angry for a year because my husband had died on me. And I was acting out. I didn't know how to deal with my hurt and my pain. The reality was that I thought about it over and over and over. And if we go to the Bible with religion, Jesus did not choose where he visited or who he associated himself with. And I continued to think about that. And I thought, well, the normal Christian would not be in a bar. But what would Jesus do? You know, we often use that phrase. And I thought to myself, why should I judge others, and why should I look at them and think I'm better than them? And that is the truth, which became my truth. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter where you are. Everybody should be seen and accepted for who they are, because we are all one. And I don't want to run Christians down or religion down, but when we have the truth, we will love everybody. When you are caught up in religion, you will judge everybody. Does that make sense?
Yes. That makes it hard to feel welcome, and it creates traumas, I think, in a lot of people. It creates wounds and separation and fear. This is a subject that's fascinating to me. And the first interview that I did, we ended up talking about Jesus as an ascended master too. So I really appreciate your perspective.
What I wanted to explain about that, talking about twin flames, is that also with religion, when I met my twin flame, he was instrumental in me being awakened. And when I met him, he told me that we were soulmates. It bothered me being religious. I couldn't understand why he would say that we were soulmates. So I went back and did my homework. I came across about 12 different types of soulmates, and amongst them was twin flame. And I downloaded the PDF and I shared it with him. And I said to him, I don't understand this. You are married and you say that you're a soulmate. And I said, but I went and I Googled to find out how could we be soulmates if you were married and I was single. When I went down the list and I got to twin flames, he said, that is what we are, twin flames. And then twin flames became a reality to me. But if I could just explain about soulmates, soul families maybe, soul connections, I could never understand, because I had a friend growing up and we were, from 9 years old, we were very close. He was male and I was female. And we had a love for one another. And he passed away about 10 years ago. And it was like a part of my heart had been ripped apart. The person who used to look after me, who used to fight my battles for me growing up, who was my best friend, suddenly wasn't there anymore. Throughout my life, I had another friend and I had my first husband, who were all soulmates when I think back of it. And I used to feel so bad, because I used to think to myself, I've had 4 men that I love dearly. And then I would look at people who would say they've been married for 38 years or 40 odd years or 50 years, and they had this idyllically happy marriage. And I would sometimes think, is there something wrong with me? But I understand now that you can have many people that you love and who love you, because we are all one. And we are supposed to love everyone. So I think of myself as very privileged that I've had many people who've loved me.
You have an amazing soul family. You know, you and I haven't before this talked about polarities of masculine and feminine, but we know that the polarities, the energy of somebody can be dominantly masculine energy or dominantly feminine energy. And then the body may or may not match. You'll meet a woman who has a lot of yang energy and a lot of the go-getter stuff that people usually associate with men. That's this polarity and energy that we're talking about. I find it interesting that the soulmates that you are reflecting on are all in male bodies. What do you think their gender polarities were? Were they very masculine men who embody a lot of yang energy? And are you a very yin female who embodies a lot of receptive energy?
Well, strangely enough, as a child, I was a tomboy. That is why it was easy for me to get on with boys, because all my friends were boys. So even in my business doing aluminium, it is in actual fact a male-dominated type of business. But I found it easy to mingle with men, to discuss business with men, because when I think back, it was never trying to lure them in. Women often say that they can get a job, or they can get work, or they can get anything they want just by being female. But for me, it's been easy to just relate to males.
I think that that's a common trait among a lot of people who are twin flames, actually, because part of our job here is to find the balance between the masculine and feminine. And so we have to relate more readily to both.
Yeah. So it's easy for me to get along with females and it's easy for me to get along with males. What I did realize with my twin flame is that in actual fact, I one day figured it out that my twin flame is in actual fact me. Does that make sense?
Oh, yes. That's the other big leap that one of the other big leaps that we have to make is to realize that though we've copied our soul into two bodies, the real journey is about figuring out how to love your soul inside you. For a lot of us, what it takes is seeing the love or feeling the love for our soul in another person. And that's what kicks off the whole process. You know, you meet your twin flame and it's ignition, it's catalyzing something in you to push you to find that love that you suddenly feel for them, that you recognize yourself in them and you love that and you love them. And then turning the mirror back on yourself and finding all the same things there. You're really your twin flame. And your twin flame can say the same. They are you.
If we truly love ourselves, then we can love others. I often used to think to myself, why do I love so deeply and so passionately? Why do I love with so much passion? And I realized that it is because I love me. I love who I am.
Justin and I watch American Idol, and Lionel Richie, he said he gets up every morning and he looks in the mirror and he says, I get to be Lionel Richie today. And it's basically a love and an acknowledgement of himself that he really does love himself. He loves the path he's on. He's cleared everything and he's found his way to being himself. You know, it made me laugh because that's very twin flame-esque. We've learned to love ourselves. And it really is a passionate, true, like deep emotional feeling about, wow, I love myself. I love who I am. I love me. I love the journey that I'm on. I never said that to myself until a couple of years ago because I wasn't yet to this level of the journey where I'm really me and really doing what I meant to come here to do. You know, can we go back for a moment? You said that after you met this stranger in the bar during your year of acting out after your husband's passing, you met this person, you went home and you discovered this anger that you realized you were harboring for your husband leaving you. What happened next?
Wow. It was shortly after that my twin flame contacted me. See, I was so desperate for love because my husband loved me so unconditionally. I was searching for that same love. I kept on saying to myself that he had set the bar so high that nobody else would be able to fit into his shoes. So when my twin flame came along and he asked me if he could speak to me about love, I thought, okay, is this another crazy guy that has contacted me? He started opening up and asking me different questions about love and life.
How did you very first, like, how did this happen? Did you just receive a message from your twin flame out of the blue asking, can I talk to you about love? Or was he someone that you'd met online or in person?
I had a dream. I had fallen in love because I so desperately wanted that love that I had with my husband. So I had fallen in love with a friend that I worked together with. He felt uncomfortable because he didn't love me, but I was desperate at the time. And then I had a dream one night, and I dreamt that I was holding his head between my hands, and I was just showing him so much love. It was about 2 or 3 weeks after that. I had this strange phone call one night. At first, it was on Messenger that this man contacted me and started chatting to me about love and light and asking me different questions about love and light. And with me having a Christian background, I knew about compassion and love. And because I was in ministry at the time, I knew what it was all about. Eventually, he said to me that he was excited. Could he call me on WhatsApp? And I said, yes, he could. He was extremely excited because he really enjoyed where this conversation was going. A few weeks later, I said to him, how did you come across me? And he said, I heard you call. I said, but how? You are 1,048 kilometers away from me. How did you hear me call? And he said to me, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. That was so amazing, because this is what happens. When we need to be healed, our twin flame will come along to trigger us, to start us on a journey of healing. Even though it's been a year now, it feels like it's been a lifetime, because I've had to go through so many hurt and pain. So all of this happened in a matter of 3 weeks. The guy in the bar telling me to let go, me having the dream about this other person that I had fallen in love with, me being desperate for love, my twin arriving on the scene, and then taking me on this step-by-step journey and starting the healing process. Also, he kept on saying to me that I'm a healer. And I thought, yes, I am. I pray for people. I lay hands on them. So I'm a healer. But I didn't understand my true purpose, that I'm a healer. When he started teaching me Reiki, I said, that is what I want to do. I just knew.
So he was your Reiki teacher. Your twin flame was your Reiki master?
Yes. He asked me a question one night, and he said to me, what is your desire? And I said to him, just to be loved. I just want somebody to love me unconditionally. I didn't know that he was going to be the one who would love me unconditionally. But you see, unconditional love is teaching us also not to be dependent or to be attached. We need to be detached from anything on the outside. When you are complete within yourself, you don't need anything or anybody from the outside to fulfill you or to make you whole, because we are whole. We are complete. If you really look at people around you or people in the 3D world, they need money to complete them, or they need power or status or whatever it is from the
Or a
outside.
person, a particular person.
Yes, where everything to complete us is within.
I think that that's a common misconception for people on the twin flame journey. They think that their twin completes them, and that maybe finding their twin is going to just make everything better. I do think as a collective, people are starting to realize now, as we get further and further into this and more twin flames awaken, they're realizing what you and I are talking about, that truly you are love and you are loved. And as long as you know that within yourself, you don't need anybody else to confirm it or perform for you, because you have everything inside of you to be whole. And so I think it's really easy to get lost on the twin flame journey thinking, oh, I'm a twin. The other half of me is out there somewhere, and I'm going to figure things out and be complete when I can just find them. And again, that's a lack mindset, I guess. And it's a misunderstanding of exactly what you're saying. We each are a whole soul, a whole person within these bodies. We brought all the tools and all the skills and talents and abilities, everything we needed to both succeed in this life and live through a 3D lifetime and get on our 5D journey and find out the truth about our spirituality and complete our tasks that way. I think that's really hard to acknowledge and believe in ourselves that deeply.
You are so right there, Michelle, because it was absolutely amazing to be in that bubble love phase where you get told about 10 times a day that you are loved. That was perfect for me. And that lasted for quite a while. It was a good 10 months that I heard every day, 5 to 10 times a day, call me. I would be on the phone all day long, hearing from him. It was like we couldn't get enough of each other. And then we met in December. It was confirmation that we were twins. And then suddenly in January, he started calling less and less. I started doubting, because we need to have the affirmation all the time. We need somebody to tell us all the time that they love us. We need to hear it all the time. It became extremely difficult for me because I felt that I was incomplete because now I wasn't sure if he loved me or if he didn't love. There were times that I would say to him, I love you, and he would say, I know. And I would think, why doesn't he say he loves me?
And what do you recognize about that now?
That I know that he loves me. I don't need proof that he loves me. I know I don't need to hear that he loves me because I've detached myself from the neediness.
You must have felt hurt. How did you get to acceptance of that and seeing that it was because your twin was teaching you to fulfill that need for yourself by stopping saying it to you? Then it became your job to say it to yourself. How did you go about getting there into acceptance?
It was very hard. There were times that I felt very lonely. Thankfully, there were people like you who were there to assist me on my journey and give me advice and guidance. Over and above that, I had to go deep within myself to realize that I was not incomplete without him, that I was complete, that I was whole, that I was perfect with or without him. I would not be any different. I had to change my mindset and I had to decide that I was going to be the best version of me.
Yes.
What I found is every time I took my focus off him and my neediness, needing him to complete me, I would find that I would pull him towards me. That every time I acted needy and desperate, I would repel him in a way.
That's the mirror. That's the runner chaser effect. It looks funny that you're pulling someone towards you, but then that causes them to back away. But we all know that feeling, right? If you have a clingy friend or a clingy significant other, you know that feeling that their need sometimes becomes too much for you to handle. That's what the twin flame relationship does, is push you to resolve the way that maybe you felt in other soulmate relationships and the way you learned to behave in those soulmate relationships, that wasn't necessarily healthy or right or best for you, and it wasn't serving you. And so you have to take your twin flame connection and go through this bubble love phase and hearing everything you needed to hear and filling your ego need up for that until the point where his copy of the soul recognized, okay, I need to stop doing this because I'm fulfilling the same pattern perhaps Ronelle learned from her other soulmates. And what she needs to learn with me is something different to be whole within herself. Now, I don't profess to think that your twin flame thought all of those exact words, but that's sort of the energy of what was happening as I see it. Do you see it that way?
Yes, I do. Because, I used to read a lot of stuff about twin flames and listen to a lot of stuff about twin flames. You hear these ongoing, oh, he doesn't love me, and and he's left me, and we're in separation, and we this, and we that. And I want to tell the audience today, you are never in separation, okay? Because you are one. He might be in another city, another country.
In death.
But you are never apart because he's always with you. The energy is always there. So what I find is that the focus is always on what the other person is doing to hurt me. What the other person is doing for me to not trust them. What we need to do in that situation is we need to shift the focus off the other person because we are one. So if you want love, you need to give love. If you want peace, you need to give peace. If you want acceptance, you need to accept. If we are angry towards our twin, what are we going to get from them?
Anger. It's the only way.
Exactly, because they feel and they experience your energy. The lesson that we need to learn in this is, what is unconditional love? Unconditional love is, I am going to be loved. If I don't get my way, I'm not going to throw a tantrum. I'm going to be loved. If it is not working out the way I want it to work out, I'm still going to be loved.
This is so beautiful. And it's funny because I go through this with Justin. I think to myself, I really want him to say, I love you, or I want a hug. Oh, that's usually what it'll be. I want a hug. And I realize, why am I sitting here wanting a hug? That's putting me in a place of lack. And it's saying, I want him to come over and give me a hug. I'm just going to go hug him. I mean, that's a simple anecdote, but that happens. That's just, I think, a small example of meeting need or lack or want or feeling like you're not getting everything that's due to you, meeting that instead with handing out love. It flips the script for everybody involved.
It does. Also difficult because if your love language is touch, which my love language is touch, I want to feel, I want to hug, I want to touch, I want to kiss. So if you're used to that making you feel good, it's so difficult to realize that you can, in actual fact, move from needing that 3D touch to experiencing a hug, even though he is in a different country or a different city. All you need to do is close your eyes and imagine it.
And you can have it in 5D, and it's real. It's as real as anything in 3D.
Exactly. And that is how I started working through it. As I said, from receiving 5 to 10 phone calls a day, having my twin hang on my ear and wanting and needing to talk to me every minute of the day, it went to maybe less calls per day. Then it went to less calls per week. And now it's sort of starting to stretch to 2 weeks, just about.
Between times when you talk on the phone?
Yes, it was really upsetting until I decided if I cannot communicate with him in 3D, I will talk to him telepathically. And I would start loving him and talking to him and telling him everything that I wanted and I needed in 5D. But I also started putting pressure on him because I would be extremely demanding in 5D.
Oh, there's a fine line to tread there.
Oh, yes.
What was it?
Well, I would fight with him in 5D and I would tell him that he needs to make up his mind now. I'm not going to wait for him if he doesn't want to make up his mind.
Was it sort of an energetic ultimatum? Was that what it was?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
And I just continue to hear less and less from him. So if we do it in 3D or 5D, it's the same thing because they are energetically connected to us. We need to learn whatever you want. You can only receive it by truly being loved. I changed my energy towards him. And no matter what he did, no matter if he didn't call or had no contact, I would still love him. I would close my eyes and I would just be one with him. And I started having more and more peace. And what happened is I realized that I needed to start living my life and my purpose. I had placed him on a pedestal. And that is what we do. We place our twins on a pedestal.
Why?
I would say it's because we are so desperate and we think that we are not enough. We make ourselves small because they are so big. And again, it's shifting the focus from them to us.
Because imagine how big we become when we realize that this person we've put on a pedestal is us. We are one. I guess that's an eye-opening thing I hadn't thought about until just this moment when you said it. When we bring ourselves up, we take down that pedestal and we're at the same level and we see the love on the same level and we recognize it as us. There's that a perspective shift in that.
You see, we don't realize how unique we are. We don't realize how amazing we are. We've grown up needing reassurance, needing to be told how cute you are, how beautiful you are, how clever you are. I sometimes open my mouth when I'm busy counseling somebody or coaching somebody, and I think, wow, where did that come from? How do I know that? Because you see, everything that we know and everything that we need is within us.
It's encoded in the DNA of our soul.
Yes, but we always look on the outside. We always try and find it or get it from somebody else or something else. If we can only realize that we are unique, we are beautiful, we are amazing, we are worth being loved. We don't need to be guilty or feel guilty or ashamed or fearful about anything. I often sit and I look at people around me and I think, wow, every single person living on this earth has gone through some trauma. They've gone through some disappointment that has made them feel so small and so insignificant. My twin used to call me, so we have this thing. He's the professor and I'm the horse. The first time he told me that I'm a majestic white horse, I sent him a picture of a pony. That's a pony. Because you see, what he wanted me to see was that I am amazing. I am unique. I also sent you a picture of a tornado.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about that cover art image.
In the very beginning of our discussions and our talks, and him building me up and pointing myself to me and how unique I am, I said to him one day, I'm going to be like a tornado. I'm just going to rush through the earth and heal everybody that comes upon my path.
I love that image.
And when I saw the image, it was so amazing because it has the colors of the rainbow, which is also colors that are connected to the chakras. It is sort of a symbol of me and my twin and the oneness.
You mentioned chakras. You are currently teaching a chakra course. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
In me processing, I want to put it in a simple way, the loss of the attention of my twin flame. There's a plan and a purpose for us and a mission together. I know that. And I was waiting for him to once again complete me so that I could step out into my purpose. And then realizing that nothing or nobody else is going to complete me and assist me in stepping out and becoming who I am supposed to be. Only I can make that decision. I then decided that I'm now going to start teaching because that is part of what we are as light workers. We are there to teach others on their path of healing. Because I understand the chakras and I understand that once your spirit, mind, and body is balanced, you start living a balanced life. I just got a group together and I offered it to a group of people. I was quite amazed at the response. Also, how people are benefiting from it. One lady that is in the group, she said to me, oh, do we start at the root? I started at the crown. No wonder I'm off balance. Because when we start at the root, that is where you are grounded. And maybe it's just me that I've always worked in a orderly manner. For me, it just makes sense that once you're grounded and you've got the base right and you've got that corrected, then you work up. Of course, I love the heart chakra. That is me.
You do always put a green heart that's your favorite emoji, I think, is the green heart. I recognize that. And the woman in the class, once she had this aha moment of, oh, no wonder my crown started. What happened next? What guidance did you give her?
Well, I just said to her, that's why she's all over the place, because she's all over the place. If our crown chakra is opened, so just think of it, if everything else is opened up and you are not grounded, it means to me you're not secure. So if you are working on the root chakra first, that is a good start. It's a good base. Think of a tree, you root it into the ground, so you are firm, you are steady. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And I recognize that as something I really lacked. So I can tie that to my own personal experience. Thank you.
I have a chart that tells you when each of your chakras, if one is imbalanced, what disorders you could have or how it affects you.
I would love to add that to the show notes, please.
It makes so much sense because sometimes you feel if your root chakra is out of balance, you could have back pain. Crown chakra, if that is imbalanced, if you had people that are super spiritual and they're super religious and they're just floating around all the time, that's when their crown chakra is imbalanced. You would think that if your crown chakra is open, that wow, you should be so amazing. But every one of the chakras, if they are underdeveloped or overdeveloped, it's going to affect your life. And that is why we need to be in balance. Our spirit, mind, and body needs to be in balance for us to lead a balanced life.
Yes. And that's such a challenge.
I've always thought of myself as a balanced person, a fairly stable person. But now that I'm living a balanced life, I realized that I actually had so many problems before.
I can think of actually an example for the root chakra. My poor relationship with money. Money is tied to the root chakra because it is the exchange, the means of exchange we use in order to get what we need to feel safe. So money, your relationship with money it's tied to your root chakra. I had a very out of balance relationship with finances and money, despite my training as a finance professional and my, the way I quitted my job there. I didn't apply those same rules and precepts and behaviors to my own because I was out of balance in that root chakra. I've had to relearn that relationship. I have a whole different perspective on how much money I actually need to truly feel safe in this world and to be successful and do the things I want to do. My relationship with money has been one of my great successes in that area.
You know what I find so exciting, Michelle, is that when I do healing and people say to me afterwards, I felt warm. My daughter, in actual fact, she had a tube pregnancy 5 years ago and her one tube was removed. She's wanting to try and have a second baby now. She went to the doctor and they checked her tubes and he said that they can try. She should be able to fall pregnant. And she came to visit me the day before yesterday. She was lying next to me on the bed and she said, do a Reiki session on me. And I said, okay, I'm always available to do Reiki. After the session, I said to her, so did you feel anything? She said, yes, when you touched my tube, I felt heat. And it was so amazing because the side where she has no tube, she felt no heat. And the side where she had the tube, she felt heat. To me, when people tell me that they feel heat or they feel something, it excites me because then I think, wow, something is happening there. Often when I do healing on people, then I will have a word for them, a word of encouragement or a word of acknowledgement. And I've often thought, wow, why does that happen? During the December holidays when I was in Cape Town, I did healing on all my friends and their family and their friends and family. It was just amazing. My friend, his boss, is a multi-millionaire. While I was doing Reiki on him, I just had this thought that he feels inferior. And I thought, this guy is so wealthy. How can I ask him if he feels inferior? Afterwards, I said to him, I just had this thought that you feel insignificant and inferior. And he said, yes, I do. And I was like, you make so much money. That made me realize that it is not what is on the outside that makes us complete, only on the inside. I was able to just share with him and just tell him that he was unique and that he was complete. And it meant something to him. So we must remember as healers and as light workers, it's not always about healing people physically. It's healing people's emotions. It's reassuring them of who they are, how unique they are, how perfect they are. Getting back to our twin flames, we need to once again remember that it's not our twins that have to complete us. We have to realize that we are already complete.
And I think that that is an excellent way to end this first interview with you, Ronelle. I say first because you and I have such great conversations and so much to talk about. I really want to share this with our audience. I'll just take this moment to say I really hope that you'll consider coming back.
I'd love to. My passion is to help others see the light, live the light, and be part of bringing light and love to the world.
Well, Ronelle, thank you again, and I look forward to talking to you soon.
Thank you so much for the invite.
We appreciate your patronage. Please consider supporting us on our Anchor.fm homepage. And if you want to learn more about Justin's and my twin flame journey, please consider picking up our novella series on Amazon and Kindle and Audible today. It's called Souls on Fire, Memoirs of a Twin Flame True Love Journey. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.